Hello guys, welcome to this episode of Cancast. I'm here with the lovely Carlton, who's a Cancard member who's recently had an incident whereby he used his Cancard to help support his housing situation. So we're just going to have a little chat with Carlton now and find out how cannabis helped him. Thanks so much for coming on, Carlton.
Yeah, it's fine.
Really nice to see your face.
Thank
I
you.
know we've already had a chat, but just for the audience, could you tell us about why you consume cannabis and how it helps you?
So I'm diagnosed with complex PTSD. So I have a lot of night terrors,
Okay.
and I've been on around 7 SSRIs, which are antidepressants. I've been on 2 benzodiazepines and 2 antipsychotics, and not one of those medications have done anything for my nightmares. And
Wow.
the only thing that I've found actually stop my nightmares happening is cannabis. Well, I'm using full spectrum cannabis oil at the minute. I found that works a lot more effective for the nightmares, than smoking it.
Yeah, absolutely. So do you take it under your tongue at night? Is it just, do you just
Yeah,
only use it at night?
yeah.
And how's that changed? Like, because I know that like sleep, whenever I don't get sleep and I'm like disturbed in the night, my days are just really awful because
100%. If I
I
have a
can't
night
cope.
terror, the day after, like everything seems to remind me of the trauma.
Right.
So
Yeah.
it's just amazing not to be having them.
Yeah. And do you wake up in the morning feeling a bit like more rested now? Because it's a big thing,
Yeah.
sleep, isn't it?
You know what? When I first started consuming the oil, I woke up right for the first time, and I said this. I said to myself, "This is actually what it feels like to be normal."
Wow. That's massive. Such a massive difference. How long have you been consuming cannabis instead of the prescribed drug?
I've been consuming cannabis for about 2 years since like I was like really at rock bottom. Because I used to like self medicate with alcohol and stuff. Everything was completely different. Now I'm like total sober. I just use my cannabis.
Good for you. Good. It's so nice. It's so nice to hear a guy talking about this kind of thing because it's something I think that men don't express enough.
I think a lot of people try block it out, don't we, with drink and stuff, but it's never the answer, is it?
Yeah, absolutely. So you had an incident recently where you had an issue with your housing and you used your Cancard. Can you tell us a little bit about what happened
Yeah,
there?
yeah. I've got the letters there actually. I'll read a bit out from each of them. So
Okay.
this is after the visit took place. It's I refer to the visit carried out to your home by the tenancy management officer and the estate officer. The estate officer also works for the West Yorkshire Police as well, so it was quite intimidating when.
Yeah.
And following complaints received by the smell of cannabis emitting from your home, you apologised to the officers concerning the noise and explained that you were having intensive therapy that was bringing on nightmares and you would wake from your sleep screaming. You advised that you were supported by mental health professionals and hopefully things would improve. You advised that you did smoke cannabis for your mental health condition and produced a Cancard, which confirmed you smoked cannabis for medical conditions. And then there's a name again, so I can't read the name, but Mrs. X advised the officers that they had never seen one of these cards before and they would seek guidance concerning this. But I was on a probationary period in my flat when that happened, and then a week later, I got another letter through saying your 12-month assured short hold tenancy period is now an end, and as you have not broken any of the conditions, your tenancy has now become assured, and I would like to thank you for the way you have conducted your tenancy. So I would have been they I'd have been homeless right now. They were looking at me as a criminal, not a patient, until I showed them my card. And I
Yeah.
can't thank you enough.
Yeah.
I
You're
really
so
can't.
welcome. You're so welcome. And this kind of thing happens a lot in housing associations and social housing. I know that you've told me that you usually use oil, but if you can't get oil, then sometimes you'll
Yeah,
smoke
yeah.
it, and that creates a problem, doesn't it, with neighbours? But I just don't feel that anybody who's consuming this medicinally or otherwise really should have their housing put at risk. Like that's a scary thing to happen.
Yeah, I felt like I was sort of stuck between a rock and a hard place because I felt like if I couldn't get oil and I'd smoke cannabis, consuming it through smoking, then I'd get reports of the smell. And then if I didn't consume any, I'd wake up from my sleep screaming. So the reports are screaming at like early hours in the morning.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah. Yeah.
but that full spectrum oil, it's wow.
Yeah. It's really helped you.
It is. It's,
So how do you feel now? I mean, it must have been scary having your housing at threat. How do you feel now they've sent you that letter and they've said everything's fine?
I
Thank
feel
you.
a lot more at peace.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
much more at peace.
yeah. I'm glad. I'm really glad. You don't you know you don't deserve that. You're a nice bloke who's
I
suffering.
don't think anyone does. No one deserves to
Agreed.
feel like victimised to feel victimised for. Like I don't. It like not being able to get a private prescription is bad enough having to like associate yourself with criminals, just to get medicine. And
Yeah, yeah,
this is why I prefer the oil to smoking.
yeah, yeah, for sure.
You know.
Yeah, yeah. Vaping can be quite good too. If we have a program where we sometimes support patients with getting inhalers and things if they can't get hold of oil.
Yeah, I'm thinking about getting a dryer vape. I've been looking
Yeah,
online at them volcanoes and
yeah,
there's some good handheld ones. So
yeah, for sure. Yeah. So, what would your advice be to people who suffer with these really extreme sort of trauma related night terrors? Because I really think that is more common than we talk about.
it is. It is. It really is. The cannabis oil and cannabis is the only like medication I've found to actually stop the nightmares. And I've been, like I say, I've listed the medications I've been on. And
Yeah,
cannabis really is the only one that's worked for me. So
yeah,
if you are having night terrors, give it a try.
yeah, yeah, for sure. Yeah, I'm sure it'll be great for people who are in that situation might feel a little bit hesitant to try it, but hearing your story is actually quite powerful.
Yeah.
What about your advice for maybe Cancard holders who haven't had to use theirs yet? What would be your advice there? How did you handle it?
At first, when I got the Cancard, I genuinely thought that because I didn't have a doctor's prescription, I'd still be viewed as a criminal. But I've got the proof here in black and white that it, you do get viewed as a patient.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Don't be nervous, and it's
yeah,
hard not to be nervous in it, but in that situation. But
for sure. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. What do you think? Like, I don't sometimes ask this question and sometimes don't, but I think you might come up with a good answer. So my last question would be like, if you had a magic wand and you could just like wave it on the UK and make cannabis however you want it, like what would it look like? Would it be like, what would your choice be, like a dispensary model or a doctor's model, or like what? How would it suit you?
I don't. I think it should be sort of decriminalised. I think if it were legalised or like even legalised for medical use, I think it'd be grown full of like pesticides and insecticides in cheapest way possible for
Yeah,
the largest amount of money. Plus, do you understand where I'm?
yeah, totally. Yeah, totally get you. That's my view too.
Yeah. So
Yeah, I suppose there's loads of different ways we can sort this out, but it does need sorting out because people shouldn't have to. I'm
yeah,
kind of.
really are.
Say that again, Carlton.
There are too many people are suffering.
Yeah, they really are. And this plant is a beautiful way of supporting them. So many people suffering and so many conditions could be alleviated with this like one simple intervention.
It could replace so many modern medicines as well, that have actually got really, really terrible side effects.
Yeah, yeah. Did you struggle with side effects from all of those drugs that you
Yeah,
listed earlier?
yeah, 100%. But sort of like with the trauma, the medication sort of just it doesn't like allow you to live your life because you feel like a zombie. It sort of just blocks it out. Whereas the cannabis, it doesn't block it out, but it allows you to view it from like a more understanding perspective. If you know what I mean?
Do you know what? That's so interesting because I spoke to somebody yesterday who has PTSD and he almost said exactly the same thing as
Yeah,
you. What he said was that the pharmaceutical drugs blocked out any emotion. He couldn't feel good emotion or bad emotion. It just stopped.
100%.
You feel it. And he said that the difference with cannabis is that he can look at his trauma, but it's at a distance that's comfortable. He kind of went like that. He was like, it's over there, so I can look at it and I don't feel too intimidated by it, but I can look at it. And that
That's
you've
what
just said exactly the same thing. That's amazing.
it is. It's
Yeah.
really is a medication for post-traumatic stress disorder. Cannabis, it really is.
Yeah.
Nightmares and everything as well that come with it.
Yeah. For sure. Amazing. Thank you so much for sharing that, Carlton. I think it's
Thank you.
really,
I hope I can help people.
yeah, for sure. Would you be interested if any patients get in touch that might want to speak to you about your experiences? Would you be happy to have a little chat with them?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
That would be amazing. I think we've got a very big group of men who feel unsupported, and I think it'd be great if we could find a way to allow people to talk, because I think a lot of it is about talking and sharing, and I think your advice to them would mean a lot. So thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for coming on and sharing all of that.
Thank you, Carly.
You're a
Thank you for giving me the opportunity.
superstar. You're a superstar, Carlton. Thanks so much.
Thank
Take
you.
care.
You too.